Hey, you are along for the ride. Episode 48 coming your way with the Mad Dog and Cole, a shorter Viking king, Farrell.
The desert sure is hot when it's hot out.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
Man, oh man, thank you for those inspiring words, Mr. Evil Knievel. Everyone, you don't need to fly through the air, but you definitely need to live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as you can.
And you definitely need our American first responders and brave men and women of our military in this country. Keep us safe. Let us do this podcast. We honor those who put it all on the line for us.
Huge respect for our first responders and our service people all around the world. Shout out all our U.S. forces, all our veterans, and all of our living POWs and the families of those who gave it all with our KIA MIAs. Respect. Man, holy cow. Nic Granlund, the Viking King. And by the way, before I get there, I hope everybody loved episode 47.
It was sentimental, you know?
That was about a year in the making, let's say.
Almost exactly.
Yep. So, yeah. So, man, we got Nic Granlund coming up. Right after this, shout out to our partners, Kicker Performance Audio, Kicker Marine Audio. Dude, I had my boat fondly named the After Show out on the lake day before yesterday, and we jammed. It was 109. We jammed for hours and no problems at all. And I wasn't gentle with the volume. So shout out to my crew over at Kicker Performance Audio, Kicker Marine Audio. Find them online, kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio, and on YouTube at Kicker Unmasked Live every Tuesday, 7:30 Central for their live TV show. Of course, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, perhaps even more important for me because the boogie bombs that I'm wearing right now in the blue mirror that happen to have an ANSI 87 OSHA approved safety lens and be polarized and have anti-glare. I wore all day yesterday in and out of the lake, attempting front flips off the boat, never took them off, never lost them in the water. Didn't care if I did because,
They float.
yes, they do. Find them online, bombereyewear.com, and on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Of course, the Premix podcast, our man Cole out there sharing his passion for all things desert racing through the lens of a camera, also through multiple posts. And he's also available to share his passion in motorsports on your microphone at your event. Hit him up on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. That's the at symbol, ThePremixPodcast, all one word. Send him a message, hire him, buy some pictures, or just get some stuff for your shot. And I think maybe we'll do an after show of the of your last week in the Freedom Cup, right?
Might have to.
Yeah, yeah. I think we need to. So we'll get into that. Thank you so much, Kelsey Morrell Film, getting all our video production done and loaded on YouTube. Find us on YouTube at MAddOG, MAddOG space media. Man, oh man, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Nic Granlund. Dude, welcome.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be on here with you guys.
Yeah, we're super stoked to have you. And for those of you who don't know the name Nic Granlund, Cole?
You're about to find out. Nic is a UTV racer. He's a quad racer. He's a monster truck driver. He's raced Loretta Lynn's. He's raced Mammoth Motocross. He's raced Vegas to Reno. He's been on countless magazine covers. He's raced jet skis. He's raced Mickey Thompson series. And that's just a little bit of his history.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How many more things I could squeeze in there? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, how many Vegas to Renos did you run? Have you ran?
I think I've done about 10 or 12, maybe 10 or 12. And I think I've won 3 or 4 overalls on the pro quad. And a couple of years ago, I ran with a guy from Japan, and I navigated, and we won the the UTV Sportsman overall. And also a few years back, I ran the Pro Unlimited with the Kaminsky team from Australia, and we got second in the Pro Unlimited UTV race.
Yeah, and I want to bounce on that 2021 Vegas to Reno where you race in the sportsman class, because I ended up pitting for both cars.
Yeah,
It was a 2-car team. I ended up fueling both cars, I think,
a few times.
6 or 8 times. Yeah. And
with 5-gallon jugs, because we had run stock fuel tanks, so there's no quick fueling. And definitely, when you're sitting there going glug 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 glug, we're like, let's go, because as racing with pro teams, you got the 4-second 5-gallon dump.
Yeah.
And that was definitely an interesting race, because as it got later into the night, we're supposed to have Baja pit support. Well, all of a sudden, they packed up and went home, because we got held up about 4 hours on the start because there was a really bad accident. So by the time we got later on, so we're at the last pit, and we're borrowing gas from people's generators just so we can make it to the finish line.
Yeah, that was at 12, right? Pit 12.
14. And
was it 14? Oh, that's where Baja was supposed to be. That's right. And we got the radio call. Dave Butts and I were like glued to the radio. We got the radio. They're not here. And we're like, oh my God. And we were trying to figure out, because I think our last stop was what's the name of the city with the bar?
The bar was it Gabs?
Gabs. Yeah. So that's what, 10?
10 or 12 or 13 maybe, and then you go to Top Gun, which is 13. There's something in between where we actually stopped at a Baja pit, and I stopped because I wanted 5 gallons. The other team kept going, and then we got in and we short filled and got back around them, and it's the whole day was a back and forth between the others. 2 Japanese drivers, and the Roma Motorsports had set up 2 cars for them, and it was definitely interesting be navigating for someone that really didn't speak much English. But spending 12 hours in the car together, I kind of learned how he was driving, and I adapted to his driving style to how I was calling the notes. This is his first UTV race. He's a multi-time Dakar racer, and he's a factory Toyota driver. So he's used to a Toyota, like a Land Rover type deal. So it was definitely a learning curve for him, and then he learned as we went along. And it was a lot of in the back, slow down. We didn't have to go as fast. We got to keep it going. The important thing for us was to make it to the finish. And that was kind of my job, is to get him to the finish. And the other team were back and forth, and they kind of overdrove the car a little bit and ended up breaking 12 miles from the finish line.
4.8.
4.8. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. While he was trying to make a pass on you guys.
They're catch up to us. But I told Mike, as long as we beat him by 30 seconds, so we're I was backing my guy off a little bit, especially the rock garden right after you get to the finish line. And I said, let's back off a little bit. We were both low on fuel because out of my kindness at the last fuel, one of the other UTV riders literally gave us his generator gas. And I said, you know what? give us half and give the other half to my teammates coming up behind us. So I could have ran out of gas by me giving him the extra gas. That I could have taken all 5 gallons, and he never would have made it to break the axle that he did, or the flat tire. But we finished the race, and where everybody was excited, and it was definitely a long day.
Yeah, that was well. So that was my so far only, and my first Vegas to Reno, and my first desert race that I was involved in.
Oh,
And
wow.
somehow I ended up working pit strategy and figuring out fuel mileage for both cars and what it was going to take, and ended up fueling both cars because apparently I was the only one that could get all the safety gear on every time. But thank you. I wanted to thank you, one, for the win, because I feel like, it was a real team effort. It was an exciting day. And I made great friends, with both the boys, with Akira, your driver, and Tomonori. Akira just really showed his matureness, and you guys really worked very well, except for bypassing fuel on pit 1. You guys worked really well.
Well, I didn't know the fuel mileage, and I was told we could go about 80 miles. And since there was that accident, they cut about 15 miles out of the race course. So I was told you can blow through 1 and go straight to 2. And we were coming in on fumes. And from there, I realized we have to stop every single pit, because there's one towards the end. It was already dark. And I told my guy, hey, let's stop at the Baja pits. And we get there, and these guys, some couple of good old boys sitting there, between Gabs and probably Top Gun. And we pull up. I'm like, we need gas. And they're like, well, let me go look. Hey, Billy over there, you got that lift? I'm like, we paid for it. Give us gas, So we're get back and forth. So the other team actually passed us, and they end up catching up to a trophy light truck, and we caught up to them. And then when we got to the next pit in Top Gun, we obviously had 5 more gallons of fuel than they did. So we kind of short filled it and got going. And then as long as we could see them in the light, and my plan was back it off a little bit, let them run in our dust, especially through the rock gardens. But it was David? No, who was navigating in the other car? Who was the co-driver?
That was Sierra Romo's. What's his name? It just jumped out of my head.
No. This guy's from back east somewhere, I think.
The redhead with the red beard.
No, not Leffler or
yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was actually riding with Sierra or Randy, I think. But regardless, so him and I were talking on the radios back and forth, and they got stuck behind a trophy light, and then we came in with short fuel. Then we got ahead of them, and then, like I said, we get into the last pit, and Baja pit's already packed up and left, and so we're going. I'm trying to tell my guy just with the turbo, ease in on the gas, and kind of trying to, again, with the limited English they had, it was definitely a challenge. But I figured we back it off, and then about 3 miles to the end, we'd hammer down.
Yeah.
And then we never needed to do that, because unfortunately they got it flat. The jack was broken. They found another jack, and I guess they went to take off, and the driver got really excited and slammed the thing, because they were going to bring it in on one flat tire, because hey, it was only 4.8 miles. And I guess he slammed into gear or drive and blew up the transmission. I guess it was so bad you guys had to literally cut the axles to get it on the trailer.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So that was I got to experience the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat all within 5 miles. No, that was awesome. And I know you're probably yelling at the Baja pit guys, but thank you so much for your patience with me.
I mean, it's always been a team effort. I mean, like I said, I've done it. I did for years on the pro quads. Me and Greg Stewart. Before that, I did it with the Ace Racing team, Sean Moore out of Pahrump. And once I kind of got together with Greg Stewart from Scat Track, and his dad just built this amazing quad. Within our group, actually, Greg's wife nicknamed it the Stupid Quad. It was basically that going back in the day, Mark Lager was an original early quad ATV chassis builder, and he designed the Pro Tracks front end, and really smart guy. And so when Greg and his dad decided to build this special quad, They contacted me. Me and Greg got together because me and Greg used to be competitors back in the day from the Mickey Thompson races. So well, funny story. First time I met Greg, I believe, was 1988 at the Golden State Nationals in Carlsbad, California. And so at that point, I'm 18 years old. He's probably 15 or 16. Some skinny little kid on the LT 500. I'm a 240 pound 6'3" guy on my LT 500. And we take off. We go on the first turn, and we're in the air and we tangle. And Greg ends up crashing and cartwheeling. And I guess he took something foot peg. To this day, he still has a dent in his calf. Apparently, that I gave him in 1988. So it was a love-hate thing, and racing the Mickeys for years. Greg and I became friends, and then we were competitors in the desert circuit for years. And then finally, him and I got together, and it was a really good combination. A few years we went undefeated, and we won the championship 2 years in a row. So it's definitely a team effort, especially in desert racing and logistics. And for me, it's when I see people go out there and they just kind of wing it. You're spending a lot of money just to wing it. And I figure, for me, out of respect for my sponsors and people that put in it, I concentrate and I want to do the best as I can. And I remember many, many races of figuring out the logistics. And Greg and I were always great. And I knew I'd get off the quad and he could make up time if I had lost time. And he would get off the quad and knew I could make up time. So that was really nice. And I remember some years in the pro quad things with this XR 650 full legger suspension, or Armstead and Mike Halleck that started at Custom Access. He designed the linkage, the no link and thing. And I would go out testing, and Greg and I would this thing was like a couch, had an XR 650 motor in it. And the thing we could be sitting down doing 70 miles an hour over the bumps. And a couple of times,
man.
Yeah, sorry, I'm rambling on, but
oh, you're fine.
And I hitched a ride to the airport up in Reno, and I'm on the runway getting ready to fly off 3.5 hours later, and I got a text, "Hey, second place is finished."
No way.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So we kind of learned, like, backed off in the beginning, and then we slowly would build our speed up because we knew, like anything, it's a long run. You're doing stuff like Parker 250. Yeah, you got to hammer down right from the beginning. And nowadays, noticed even in the UTV races, it's once the start flag drops, man, you're wide open nowadays. It's not a long, kind of take your time, kind of like the Dakar race where you can take time and make up time later. Than now, where most of the desert races, you're hammering down, and the pro UTVs, there's 40, 50 teams out there, and even if everybody's hammering down and 50% break, you're still getting 15th if you don't hammer down yourself. So it's definitely a really competitive class nowadays.
Yeah, it's that was really enlightening for me, and a real huge thing for me. I really appreciate it, and shout out to Dave Butts for bringing me in, and the Romos, just love them to death, and the opportunity to be a part of it. And of course, Akira and Tominori, Nick, and it was Wes Leffler.
Was it Wes? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought with Sierra in that race.
Yeah, I think Randy co-drove for Sierra.
Okay. Or they switched up.
Yeah. But man, that was, it was cool too, Cole, because I'm sure I've told you this, but we got back from tech and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? And Randy's like, well, we're working on our cars. So you guys are kind of, here's the list. And first thing is, like, got to replace belts on both cars. And I hadn't done a belt since 2014. And I'm like, shit, I better learn how to do this, so I can be quick if I have to during and to Nick and Akira's credit, they did the entire, 488 miles that year?
520, yeah, something around 500 miles, yeah.
Yeah.
488, I think you might be right, 488, especially because they cut a little bit in the beginning. Did the whole thing on one belt.
And
no flats.
And no flats.
That's two huge, like, examples of discipline right there. The two most wearing parts on a UTV.
And you're talking about a driver and a co-driver that have never worked together, that don't speak the same primary language.
Well, I speak Swedish, so technically I'm Swedish, he's Japanese, and we're trying to communicate in English, right?
Right.
Lots of
Yeah.
hand signals going on.
That
Yeah.
was
He was great. He was great. But there's times, and then you're on some, 14-mile, 15-mile gravel road, and they were stock cars, so they would top out at about 82 miles an hour, and I would kind of teach them, like, when you hit 82, back off the throttle till you're going by 80, 81, 82, so you're saving some fuel. Otherwise you're just wasting fuel on the rev limiter.
Yeah.
And but then we're going for a while, and I was like, so what do you like better? This, do you like, side by side or this or that better? And he's like, yes. And then I kind of realized that, we're not really going to have conversations at that point, because it was a communications, but obviously he's concentrating on trying to drive. And I was reading notes, and then a few times I was reading notes, and I would say, like, long, easy left, basically just keep it floored, while he would slam on the brakes because he thought it was a turn. So I kind of learned of what I would tell him, how he would react. So towards the end, sometimes I wouldn't even call out turns, because I knew if they're long, easy, I would just let him do his thing. It was easier for him to let him use his, judging the speed and the distance without me calling it out, because when I call it out, he would think there's something more than it was. So it was a learning curve for both of us, especially with him. We did a little bit of testing with the Romos a few days before, maybe like 20, 30 miles, went out and did just some driving. And but yeah, it was kind of, that one was definitely there's some stretches where there wasn't many words said, because we really couldn't, have a conversation talking about, music or kids or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and it was really cool. For those of our fans who Nic alluded to 6'3", I realistically think it's more like 6'4.5" or 5.
I'm 6'4" in my younger days, so I'm actually shrinking.
Yeah.
But as Cole knows, between broken back and multiple knee surgeries and broken femur and things like that, it's I think I'm shrinking.
And Akira's what, 5'4", maybe 5'5",
or 132 pounds in dry, with sweat and a camel pack.
Yeah, we so I was lucky enough, I've never done this. I was lucky enough to set both cars up for the drivers and the co-drivers that night. And I got Jason's, what's the box? A spot
The
box?
Stella unit?
Your the has a push to pass and all that.
Pass button, which half the time didn't work anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, I got that whole box, control panel, the head, basically, I think, your course on it and all that. Set up for Jason, and Jason's like, what, 5'8"?
Okay.
And then I went to set up for Akira and Nic, and I'm like, hey, these mounts aren't going to work, because this is going to be in Nic's, like,
in my knees.
in his knees. So that was really cool. But anyways, I digress. I just wanted to say a special thank you, because that was like a huge deal to me. Right over my shoulder, that is the numbers off the truck, and
your pit support.
Yeah, all my pit support stuff. And right below that is my finish pin on my Toyo Tire Team Toyo hat. So it was a huge deal to me. But anyways, we kind of got off on it.
Keep showing those. I'll go grab the trophy from that race, and maybe later we'll do the walk my wall of shame. But I'll grab that one. There we go.
He knew right where it was.
Yeah.
There we go.
Wow. Awesome.
You can't buy those.
For those of you who are listening, it is the Vegas to Reno first place UTV Sportsman Trophy. It's a thing of beauty. Absolutely. And they earned it, man. They spent about almost 14 hours in the car.
It was a long time, because we sat out we were ready for the starting line, and we're sitting in the car, and it was already like probably 10 or 11 o'clock, because we started, I think actually we started behind a couple of Jeep Gladiators,
Yeah.
And but then there's, like I said, there's that terrible accident, so it was about 4 hours old, and then they end up diverting the course. So I think it was probably 3 or 4. I think by the time we got back to the hotel in Reno, the sun was actually coming back up again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. Um, that's what I said. I got up in North Las Vegas at 3:30 in the morning
Yep.
and went to bed on Saturday or Friday, and went to bed at 10:45 in the morning in Reno on Saturday.
You were helping recover the second car, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. At that
that
point, I think, and during the whole race, I only got out of the car one time, and we were at one spot, and what had happened was we had hit a couple G outs, and the front mount on the skid plate has broke, so the skid plate was down like this, and every time we would kind of G out on the crown, it would scoop rocks into the front diff, and then the axles was this crazy grinding sound, and we could feel. So we're like, we just blew a front diff. So I got out one real quick one time, and I went out there, I looked, and we scooped a bunch of rocks out of it, and then we got to the next pit, and they just cut that skid plate off, and we had no. That was the only issue we really had.
yep.
And as desert racing, you wear a catheter, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But at some point, when you got to go, you got to go, and it's important to stay hydrated because you're out in the desert. It was 112 degrees, I think. We're talking up in in the desert, so I always drinking. All you pit guys, we're giving us water, refilling our camel packs, handing us protein bars, and we're taping stuff. That's something I learned from racing the Baja is you take some protein bars and refuel it, like your gels and hydrate stuff like that. You just duct tape it to the roof of the car. So if you're driving and you want something, you can reach up and rip that duct tape off. And but like I said, you guys in the pits, you're fueling the cars, you're making sure we got what we need, fresh water, fresh towels, and it's always a team sport. The drivers get a lot of the credit, but they couldn't do without this pit support from the team, and you guys were awesome for that.
Oh man, that was such an awesome experience. I would definitely do it again for sure. But we got off on that tangent. Now I want to get back to
All right.
Nic Granlund and where it started. Like you've raced quads, you've raced Supermoto, off-road, quad wars, monster trucks, UTVs,
Personal
jet
watercraft.
skis. I mean, personal watercraft. Thank you. Correction. That's jet ski is a trade name.
Little powered little scooters, the GoPet scooters.
Yeah.
I even raced those a few times.
Nice. So where did
cars? I raced RC cars.
So where did all this start? Like, where did that come from? Because somebody doesn't race everything without the spark being lit somewhere.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. So started probably back in the late 50s, early 60s with my grandpa, my mom's dad. He was into racing cars, and then my mom, as a late teenager, and sometime in the mid 60s, my mom was racing. She was racing Mini Coopers in Sweden. So this is back, in Europe, in Sweden, with the original Mini Coopers with the little
Awesome.
And she was doing a lot of racing there, and she went to a track race, and my dad was part of the tech inspection, and that's how my mom and my dad met at the racetrack. And and I was born, out of that, so I was pretty much born with gasoline in my blood. And remember growing up, I was always dragging me out to rally races, in the middle of the woods, standing outside, or something in Sweden. If people want to look up, it's called folk racing. It was basically the birth or before rallycross started, and they would take these old, basically back then it was all in Sweden, it's all Volvos and Saabs, maybe some Opels, and they would go out in some gravel pit. They would cut out a track, and you go out and race. And there was a claiming rule to where after the race, I'm not sure the commercial, let's say $500.
Yep.
When the race is done, somebody want to buy your car, $500, they could take it. You could maybe keep your tires and wheels and your custom seat for you. But except for that, you had to sell the car. That way, no one would spend money on suspension and motor work and things like that. So folk racing, FOLK racing. And if you go on YouTube, you can find some stuff. It's pretty much the birth of rallycross. And we're talking, 50 years ago is when it started. So I remember growing up, and then Sweden used to have some Formula One drivers. And, every kid wants a dirt bike. So when I was 12 years old, I got my first dirt bike. And, at that point, I had a single mom, and she worked nights, and I learned I was 13 years old, rebuilding top ends, because that's kind of what I had to do. And started racing the dirt bikes. And we moved to America in 1986. And again, I was so excited because in Sweden, they have age limits. You can't, up until until you're 18, you have to ride, or 16, I think, you have to ride a ADCC. So at this point, I'm a 50-year-old kid. I'm 6'2". I'm 200 pounds on an RM80, but I wasn't allowed. So I moved to America, and I went straight to a KX250 and started racing dirt bikes up in we moved to the Bay Area up in San Francisco. So, San Jose and, Metcalf, Hollister, Fremont Raceway. A lot of people remember that, Sacramento Raceway. So kind of grew up in Northern California, and I was doing the Transcal and the Golden State Series, racing dirt bikes. And my mom was always there, my number one supporter. She would drive all day, all night, and bring me to the races. And, and I was doing the Golden State. And then probably 1987 or 88, 87, I think, a friend of mine had a quad racer, and we're racing a race in Porterville, which is like between Fresno and Bakersfield.
Yep.
And he crashed and got. He goes, "Nick, I need a point. You can put on my gear and race for me." So I hop on this, quad racer 250 with balloon tires and everything, and I go out there. I got like 4th place in beginner class, but I got him some points. I'm like, that was kind of fun. So I did that, and I'd had some knee injuries, and then in 1988, I blew my knee out racing I was racing a KX 500 at Carlsbad CMC Golden State Nationals. I blew my other knee out, my good knee at that point. So I said I went out and bought an LT 500, and brand new from the dealership floor is like $3,800. It was pretty amazing. And so I started racing that against CMC Golden State Nationals, and for about a year, I was doing dirt bikes and quads at the same time. It was kind of difficult to concentrate on one. And at that point, the Mickey Thompson were the creme de la creme of where you want to race. But I was just some 18-year-old chubby kid, taking out Greg Stewart at the races. And then finally I kept applying, and I got accepted to the Mickey Thompson race. So I'm like, great, but I don't have a 250. So we went down to the local dealership in San Jose, and I think $3,600, brand new 250R. And I showed up in San Diego with stock handlebars, the headlight, thumb throttle. I think I just put some tires, swapped the tires, bolted on a Paul Turner pipe and some Nerf bars, and I went at racing. And first time I made the main event because they're a big pile up. And, then, it was pretty much 4 or 5 years of Mickey Thompson's until, unfortunately, they went under.
There's something about you crazy Swedes, Cole's a Swede descendant also. And you guys in KX 500s, I don't know y'all hit your head or something, man. No, seriously, that is a unbelievably good bike.
Yeah, we got the Viking horns, and we can handle all that horsepower,
Yeah,
but Nick's a man's man, because he rode it at Carlsbad, and that's like blue groove pea gravel. That's some man stuff.
Hard pack up and down those hills.
Yeah, never got to do that, but never had to do it.
So I started doing the Mickey Thompson races. I bought my 250, got the 250R, and slowly started building it. And I would call him, my mentor, and he taught me so much. His name was John Studley with JSC Racing, and he used to live across the street, and he would just help out neighborhood kids. Like, he would do things for free just to help everybody out. And you're an adult, and he was very meticulous, and he taught me so much. And I would ask him questions. Sometimes they were ridiculous, stupid questions. Sometimes they're good questions. And he goes, there's no stupid questions. If you don't know, you want to learn. And him and the guy would go back and forth, and he's the one that taught me how to port engines and talking about flow and matching things. He was always big about, if someone bring him a package, he goes, well, I want your airbox, your intake boot, your carburetor, your cylinder, your exhaust. And he would match the gaskets and the intake boot to the airbox. And for him, it was all about combining everything, not just bolting on things, because this will give you 5 horsepower.
Right.
And that's kind of where he taught me that. So I was always the guy asking why and how can I make it better. And so that taught me a lot. And then just getting into the quads, and After a few years, I got with, Alan Knowles at C2 Racing. I rode for LRD for a few years. And once the Mickeys were happening, yeah, that was a lot of fun traveling and doing the stadium races. And like in the middle of that, I think I was about 20 years old, and I saw an ad on TV for Monster Jam. It's a quad war. So I'm like, quad racing in my hometown. So I call up, and that was back when you had to call 411 to get a phone number. We're talking, early 90s. And I told the guy that was promoting us, and goes, well, come on out. It's more of a show. And I came out, and he's like, I get it. We're out there. Some people say it's fake racing. You know what? Is wrestling fake? Perhaps. But we're there for there's when you got 20,000 or 7,000 or 200 or 80,000 people, they're paying their money to go see a show. We want to give them the best we can.
Yep.
And so I got the concept. I would go race the Mickeys. I'd go race the Nationals, Golden State CMC. That was hardcore racing. But then I would also do with monster truck shows. And we're there for a show, and the fans loved it. There's something about the feeling when you're on the mic and you got 60,000 people either, cheering for you or booing you, depending on which team I was on. So I've had some amazing times doing the quad wars, with Monster Jam, for those years, and traveling internationally. I've probably been to 20 different countries, doing shows with them and meeting so many great fans. So many people are excited. I mean, even a show like in Fresno, I'd come back and people would come back 3, 4, 5 years later. Even if I did it for 10 years, people would bring their kids and like, hey, I remember this, and here's my kid, and the fans. And we're there for a show to put on a show for the crowd. And I love doing that and getting the crowd excited and just getting them turn in and let them sit on our quads. And so, yeah, it's full circle. And, the quad stuff got hurt for a while. I worked at a jet ski shop in San Jose. So I started racing runabouts and, jet ski world finals for a few years. I won the novice 1200 world championship in Havasu. And, that's kind of where the GoPed things came around. One of my sponsors were GoPeds, and the jet ski shop I worked at, they did also shifter cars. So I was racing shifter cars for a while. It's just, it's crazy. And then working with Monster Jam, that kind of got me into the monster truck shows. And I did a lot of international driving monster truck, a lot of stuff in Sweden. And even just a few years ago, I went to Qatar and drove a monster truck there. And in London and Liverpool. It was cool. Got to see the Beatles Museum. That's with the Hot Wheels Monster Jam, Hot Wheels Live. Sorry,
yep.
Hot Wheels Live Monster Truck Tour. And that's a really great tour. And they're more great tours to kids. And it's great to see all the little tiny, they get so excited. I'm so happy just signing autographs and high-fiving everybody. And it's just, bringing people together for something you can enjoy, which is, it's so much fun.
Wow. I'm just blown away. And yeah, I know I follow your Instagram, and dude, you are so busy and like driving monster trucks in Europe and then racing a works race in Havasu, or whatever. It's like, holy cow, dude's everywhere.
I try. Last few years have been kind of rough. And in 2019, I decided to have a knee replacement. And I had it done. I kind of did it during the break of the work series in June of 19, and things were going great. I was back in September, and then October, my leg started hurting really bad, and it got really, really swollen. So I went in to the hospital, and turned out that there's an infect. The bone that got infected from the knee implant. So they had to go in and literally use a hammer and a chisel and pull the implant out, and basically put they call it a ceramic antibiotic spacer, and they put that in there. And my leg was fused. And as it was being fused, I had, I was PICC line. I had to do antibiotics every day. And finally, I was cleared. I was going to get a new knee again. And then COVID hit.
Huh.
So that pushed me back another 6 months. So I went almost 10 months without a working leg. And then finally got the knee and started rehabilitating that. And then probably second week of rehab, I ended up ripping my quad muscle off my patellar tendon.
Whoa.
Yeah, from the atrophy and my seven previous knee surgeries, and then I had another 8 or 9 of those after that with infections. So that kind of took me a while to get back into it. And then I was actually getting ready to go to Qatar to drive a monster truck, And some people say, you know, people say what they want, but I got the vaccine because I had to travel internationally. And 4 days after that, my heart went into AFib. And yeah,
Man.
so I was dealing with that for a while, and finally I ended up having heart surgery. But last August, I had heart surgery.
Wow.
And yeah, and as I'm dealing with that, again, who can say from what? I got a detached retina, which was kind of crazy. And 2 weeks later, my other retina detached. So I just had my 10th eye surgery.
Jeez.
Yeah, so yeah, from 2019 on, it's been a rough one, and you know, whenever I can get back out there, but it's been tough. I've been dealing with the health issues, and actually currently I have silicone oil in my left eye to kind of hold the retina in, and that's been in there since February. I was down at King of the Hammers, and driving around in my Jeep, and I went, uh-oh, I know what's going on. So I loaded up, went home, and saw the doctor, and said, yep. 2 days later, I was having another retina reattachment.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's been crazy. A lot of people know about it. I obviously now the cat's out of the bag. I'm the kind of guy where I'm not gonna be put things on social media, and I tend to be kind of private and still try to be happy and smile every day and kind of not let other people worry about what I'm going through. So it's been a lot in the past 12 months. I've had 10 eye surgeries and a heart surgery. So
Wow.
it's been pretty tough, but you know what? I last month I was able to do another work race, so that was excited. I was able to go up to the last round they had up in Cedar City, so that was really good.
How'd that go? Yeah, how'd you do? It go okay?
Yeah, actually it went good. I decided last year when I was gonna go out and do the monster truck series, I decided to kind of step back from the pro class, the pro stock class, and race the masters, which is the technically it's the 40 plus in the works races. So anything over 40. Well, I just turned 53, so I think I earned my way to go into that class. And good. And again, it's more of just experience and muscle memory, and having at this point I have one eye, so my depth perception's off. But if I look at my lap times, every lap I went faster and faster and faster, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing any doubles. Well, after the third lap, I'm like, screw it, I'm hitting that jump. I just have to. Cole, I'm sure you're kind of the same way. We're like, oh, I'm just gonna take it easy, and like, I can do that. I think I'm good.
Yeah, it never works. I had that experience at Paris. I didn't do this double all practice. I didn't do it in the first moto, but a guy was beating me in the second moto, so I was like, all right, here we go. And then I did it every lap after that. But yeah, heat of the battle.
Yeah, just like I said, it's been 30, 40 years of racing, and it's just it's in my blood. And the people don't race, they don't understand. Cole, you get it, and I'm sure a lot of people listening get it, and so. But I did have to realize that with some of the medical issues I had, and kind of moving on to the monster truck side, I did step back from the pro stock class in the even pro production, but the pro class in the works races, partially because of budgets, and also I think the last pro race I did was at the side by side the World Finals, or at the Prim, where they run the short course and the long course, and actually I did pretty good, but or was it the next race? Anyways, the podium combined age, I think, was 54 years old of all three kids on the, it's like a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 22-year-old. So like I almost got them all beat on age, and these young kids coming up, and I remember that they got no fear, which used to be me, and so I'm like, I it takes a while at some point in somebody's career where look at quarterbacks, football or whatever, they're retired, then they come back, and especially like some of these football kids, they're not coming back for money, they got plenty of money. But it's just something in them because it's what they know. That's what I know racing. So for me to step away from it, it's really hard. So I realized, okay, well, I'm not competitive in the pro class anymore, but I can still go out there and race. And so for me, the Masters, which is basically the old guys class, but I still get out there. I can still represent my sponsors, and I've had some sponsors for so many years. And I'm so thankful to all the support I've had for all the years, all of my sponsors. And like Lauren said, this you see my social media. Well, I'm on Up Your Racing, but I'm still putting social media out there. I'm still creating content, which in this day and age, it's kind of what it's about. They really don't care if you're winning, because I have friends, they win championships, but they have no social media or no sponsorship, or their cars kind of look like crap. And it's I've realized through my so many years of doing this, if someone's sponsoring me, they're not doing because they're good at their heart. It's a business, and they want to sell products. So I do everything I can to help them sell the product that they're helping me out by giving me products.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on that, when I worked for Muzzy, I managed all our sponsorship programs, everything from side by sides to motorcycle to drag bike to road racers. And I have been quoted many times saying, I'll take a good person that's a great representative over a dickhead that's on the podium every weekend.
Right.
And that's a big part of what you're saying when you hold yourself accountable to represent your sponsors respectably. That just makes you more attractive to more sponsors, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I also learned sometimes just because it's free doesn't mean it's better or it's worth it,
Yep.
Like sometimes I'm loyal to a fault, because if someone supported me for years, I'm going to stick with them, and someone else might come along and say, oh, hey, here's free this, or we'll pay you to use that. But I'm like, yeah, but if I use your product, I'm not finishing races.
Yeah.
So it's a tough call. Like, okay, like say UTVs, okay, brand X axles come in, wants to sponsor me with free axles. And I go, great. I put them on, and they give me $500 to use their axles. Well, I go out and every race I break an axle, and then I get a free one to put on the next one, but I'm still not finishing races.
Yeah.
And that's detrimental to my other sponsors.
Yep.
You got to think of the whole package. And let's say someone gives me a helmet. Okay, retails $500. It costs them $200 to sell it for $300, wholesale or whatever. So I figured if they give me one helmet that costs them $200, they get $100 profit. They have to sell 3 helmets just to break up for the helmet that they gave me. So to me, I need to sell them 4 helmets just to make them a profit for the one free helmet that they gave me.
Yeah, that's so insightful. And, part of that is the voice of experience. And I hope you stick around all these young guys and work with them and teach them. And I hope they'll listen, because there's more off-road in general motorsports athletes than I think there ever has been. And they need to, the younger racers need to learn that stuff. They need to know it. Some of them got it. I worked with some great racers that are still just incredible, but I had the opportunity to work with some guys that I was like, no, thanks. And there's a reason for that, and so I think more people, like if there was you should put a class on that teaches that, Nick.
Well, there's plenty of people that teach. Speaking of teaching classes, but there's people that are better than me at teaching how to sponsor and maintain and writing proposals but now it's almost, you need a full-time social media person, because it's almost a full-time job just to do that. But as far as teaching, I've done writing schools, and I've taught Supermoto for years. Every year before I had a class, and I would teach a writing class, and I've made many friends doing that. And actually, one year I used to race the Cannondale quads. I don't know if you remember when the Cannondale.
Oh yes.
I had a kind of a factory ride where I was racing in the desert, and I did some 4-stroke nationals and things. And for about 3 years, I was on the Cannondale factory support team. And there's a kid out of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, the DR, and he was battling for the national championship, and they had a Can-Am, and they hired me to come down and basically for a week to do private lessons. And I came down and I was helping him and quite a bit, and how to set the quad up. And we went and did a race in the DR, and that was definitely an experience. And I raced one of his Cannondales, and I have a trophy back there for when I won a race in the Dominican. It's all in Spanish. I really don't know what it says, but it's got a one on it. I mean, but these guys were crazy. They're running around. They got guns on their pockets. They're yelling at each other, and they're like, because they're mad because they brought me in from America, and they hired some other guy from America to come in, and I'm against this guy, and I'm like, relax, guys, we're just racing. But for them, it was like national pride and security, and it was some crazy stuff down there. So it was
wow.
Yeah, but again, I came down and I taught him and how to set the quad up and riding styles and how you work, and I've done a lot, so I've done private lessons, and I love helping people and making them better, because if they got bad habits, we got to break them.
Yep.
And a lot of times the saying is, you have to slow down to go fast. And that's, for me, it's most of my career has been on quads, so it started with dirt bikes, went to quads. Then I kind of went from quads, went to jet skis, raced, the world finals, and jets, did a watercraft for a while, then back to quads again. And I just shipped to karts for a while, racing go-karts, and then back to quads. And then finally, when the side-by-sides came out, and, they say with age comes the cage.
Yep.
And I started doing that. And in the meantime, I was still doing quads and quad work. I still have a quad. So I'm kind of yearning to go ride that thing again. But the side-by-sides are so much fun. I love doing that. And then again, like I said, driving monster trucks, that's a whole different world. And but that's more of a show, and it's just you're there for the fans, which I loved doing all the years of the quad work. Even the Mickey Thompsons, we used to have the autograph session, full circle. Randy Romo, I won like 1993 or something like that at Sam Boyd Stadium, and Randy told me, at that point he was he's younger than me. He comes up, and I guess he snuck around the back, and I said, "Hey, listen, punk. The line's over there. Go get in line." I wouldn't sign his autograph.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's trying to cut the line. So, and
Like
I've known I moved to Vegas in 2000, probably since 2001. I've known the Romos, and we used to go to the dunes, and I feel kind of responsible for getting them into racing. And Randy's such an awesome guy. And when he like focuses on something, he's all in.
Oh yeah.
Randy's all in. So I feel kind of responsible, and they started racing, and they're having issues. So I'm like, hey, just come out and do some. They were doing the works races, but they've been great. They're great dune riders. They've been awesome, and then they're doing the works, and I'm like, come out, do some like dirt series and get your motocross skills in. And they came out, did that, and they started doing great, and they learned a lot. And Sierra's amazing, and she's an excellent driver.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I said, I've known the Romos for about 22, 23 years now, and they're just a great family.
And they're great people too. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And Randy's still got it. And I don't know if you knew about this during the race, but during that 2021 Vegas to Reno, the second car with Jason and Tominari, they ended up pulling the clutch cover coming out of pit 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And so between Randy, myself, and Dave Butts, while everybody else was checking the car over and taking care of the driver and co-driver with fluids and stuff, we changed a primary, a secondary, a belt, put the cover back on, and fueled the car. I think it was right about 11 minutes, 10 minutes, something.
Yeah.
So Randy was in there thrashing, dude. I mean, he was on it. So huge respect.
Yeah. And I even, I don't know if you even knew about Claudia used to race too.
Who?
Claudia?
Yeah. I did not know that. Yeah.
So all three of them used to race. So yeah, it was definitely, Sierra and Claudia used to race against each other before Sierra moved to the, racing against the boys, which she was one of the few girls to finish on the podium in the works race. So
yes,
she's an excellent driver. Randy's a great driver. And then, like I said, they came from the dunes, and that's all they knew. That's how they knew to do it. And they kind of started racing works, and pretty much every race, one of them would flip over, So I said, hey, come on and do the dirt series, because the dirt series was more like your local motocross type stuff. Not, it's kind of having a good time in Southern California races. Cole, did you ever do any of the dirt series
I
races?
did one or two at Paula. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good series. Like it's like kind of like Works, but with less pressure, I guess
Well,
you could say. A little more laid
it was
back.
yeah, it was motocross. It
Yeah.
was all motocross tracks, and yeah, just cheaper entry fees, good time. You go there, you have like usually Saturday, you have a whole day of free open practice, and you would race on Sunday. You get your two motos, or I would sign up in 2 to 3 different classes. Sometimes I race like 4 motos or 8 motos in a day, because I had my supercharged car and my stock car, and I raced the unlimited class and the sportman class and a pro class, and I'm doing in a day. And what I found coming from quads and dirt bikes to the side by sides, and I kind of brought that with me in my early part of my careers. The side by guys, they don't practice. They basically go out, they race, and then they put the stuff away, and they might go spend 10 minutes testing between. But I was doing 2, 3, dirt series races, and doing practice days, and keeping your muscle memory fresh. Because back when I was racing dirt bikes and quads, is you're riding 4 days a week, because you got to stay in shape and get your muscle memory. And once you switch to side by sides, obviously you're spending the same time working on them in the shops than you do. But you still need that muscle memory. So for a lot of years, beginning of my side by side career, I was basically wearing my cars out, practicing to go racing. But I would go up on the race day and I would be ready to go. Didn't need that, few laps kind of to get ready and get into it. So same thing racing desert with quads. I'm riding them during the week, and then when I would meet up for the races for the desert races, I would hop on the quad, and my muscle, I'm ready to go. It didn't take me 10, 15 miles to kind of get into it, because I'm already ready to go. So that's where you look at the top motocross guys. They're riding 3, 4 days a week.
Yeah. We used to way back when I road raced and stuff. We rode almost every day.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, and the days that we weren't testing or training, I rode, because I was young and dumb. I rode that way on the street. So it was like, but you never lose it. I mean, I feel like right now I could probably get on a track bike and within an hour cut some pretty reasonable times depending on the track. And I'm older than you, let's put it that way. And that's why my Viking won't let me. We call it a striking Viking. She's a 6 foot tall, half Irish, half Norwegian blonde, and she won't let me get a track bike, because she said, you don't know how to behave.
Probably very smart. But then again, I've noticed if I hop on a quad, I'm definitely way faster in my head than my body, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So that seems to be the way it is. Well, we definitely know when I finally talked Cole into doing some kind of trying to get together a side-by-side desert race, like a one-off deal, kind of like what Toyo did with the Toyo Japan guys.
Yeah.
I know who to call.
Yeah.
So, man.
I'd love to drive like Baja or Vegas to Reno. But again, nowadays, I mean, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
And the finances to do it and the sponsors you're gonna have. So if I can help out even by navigating and use my experience from years of doing it, it was great with the Australian team, the Kaminsky Racing. Brett used to come over quite a bit, and when he was racing the side by sides, and just to be able to support them with my knowledge of the desert and Vegas to Reno and things like that. And then my driver that I was co-driving with, he was more of a road racing guy. And cool thing about Brett Kaminsky was that he wanted all Australian drivers. But in case something happened to the driver, he needed someone in the passenger seat that could hop over into the driver's seat and still perform well. Because I see that sometimes in the desert
Yep.
where they'll throw the mechanic in there because he worked so hard in the shop and now he's driving it, but he might not be a great driver. He could be, but he might not be. But it's like you're spending thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Wouldn't you want your best available backup?
Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes it confuses me. Sometimes people, and if you got the money to spend and you just want to go have a good time and you don't care how you do, more power to you. I know if I'm racing, I want to win.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend my time working in the shop, getting set up, doing all the pre-race stuff, unless I think I have a chance to win.
Yeah. Well, and that, and it shows. It shows. Look at your trophy wall behind you. There's so many back there, folks. I know you're listening and not seeing because usually our videos are about 6 months behind getting up on the YouTube channel. So, but for those of you,
we're gonna add some video later, and I can maybe talk a couple. Like I like to show you the trophy from when I was in the Dominican Republic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's take the tour.
Yeah,
I've got.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me.
There we go. BC will be happy.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, this is the one from the Dominican Republic right here. So
that is not in English, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
First
Y'all will have
to
watch it. You'll have to watch it on YouTube.
Here's a few of the works trophies.
Wow.
Also I had hold on, I'll do this. Someone's calling me right now. Is that affecting you guys?
No,
we're good.
There we go. I'll just go like that. And we're back. All right. Yes, there's the works. Also, State Line Supermoto stuff.
Yeah.
I did that for years. This one's pretty good. It was the side-by-side World Finals Pro Stock overall winner.
Nice.
Yep.
You did that in a Yamaha, right?
Yeah. I'm still racing Yamaha. Actually, Micah Gibson and one of my sponsors. I think I have the only single seat Yamaha out there right now.
Yeah, the custom YXE.
Yeah. So here's a great Vegas Reno first overall.
Very nice.
And
that's a good one to have.
Yeah, and then obviously I only did it once, Elsinore Grand Prix, but I did win it.
Hey, I got one of those.
Yeah, there you go. This one was great. This is the Parker Best in the Desert UTV Nationals. And actually that one is kind of special, and it kind of hurts my heart. That was actually the day that Casey Folks passed away. So that one it's kind of bittersweet of having that trophy. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting day. Then we'll go back to so here's the Best in the Desert 2009 Pro Quad Championship.
Wow.
And here's another Supermoto. I won the Pro ATV NAS Moto 2006. Here we go. Mickey Thompson, main event winner. That one's pretty nice.
Man, that's a piece of off-road history right there.
Yeah,
exactly. It's kind of funny. My friend Greg Stewart, that's his hometown race, and I think Greg won like 5 or 6 of them. He's like, "Hey, I'll trade you Seattle and Dallas for your Anaheim one." Anaheim trophy.
Nope.
Nope. And actually, this one's pretty cool. This is from France. I don't know how many people know about the Pont de Vaux, the 12-hour race in France.
I don't even know about that.
Yeah, so 12-hour race is a huge race in Europe. And this was Justin Reeder and Greg Stewart and myself, and the CT Racing built a quad, and we got third overall after 12 hours. And it's basically you're racing around hayfields on a TT track with some jumps, and it's crazy. You got these Europeans with these 900 cc KTM motors and these custom built quads, and the Duncan teams are always really good over there. Doug Eichner's a multi-time champion, and back in the day, racing against Mark Earhart and all those guys. So yeah, there's definitely
crazy,
definitely some cool trophies. This is a 2020 Pro Stock in Prim.
Nice.
17. This one actually was the 2018 Pro Production. I got third. That's an overall series trophy. And yeah, this one, these are some of the works, trophies, some seconds and thirds. But yeah, most of these are actually first place. A lot of Supermoto, state line Supermoto. So yeah, there's there's lots of trophies.
And I'm sure there's even more in boxes somewhere, huh?
Well, we could probably start going through all the stacks of
all the
Yeah,
Dirt Series
I think
sprocket
this box-
trophies and yep.
yeah, I think this
Jeez.
box is full. That box is full. So
Holy cow.
yeah, one of these days, maybe I'll take them out and count them. I mean, I've probably done over 1,000 races.
Now that'd be a good Instagram post, just putting up some of your highlights of, I know you're a humble guy, but if you post up some of those trophies, I think some of the would absolutely love seeing that stuff.
Yeah, there's some like this one. This one's a pretty cool trophy. This was the Desert Showdown, and this one, it was actually a team race. Me, one of the Dirt Series, I teamed up with a kid on a 170, and it was like
Nice.
a for an overall. Yeah,
How cool.
yeah.
That
was
is
pretty
rad.
cool. And then we're going back. Back in the day, I did the Triple Crown of Supercross. I was doing ATV freestyle. I don't know if you guys can see that picture.
That's a good knack, Nick. That is a good knack.
That's a knick-knack.
A knick-knack. McGrath ain't got nothing on the knick-knack.
Nope. That's an old 250R.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So yeah, no, it's definitely been a career. And as we get older, I'm still doing a little bit of racing. I'm finally racing. I can't compete with the young kids anymore. So, but now here's a cool shot of my single seater.
That's
Yep.
a beautiful shot.
Nice.
Yeah, Harlan Foley.
Oh, Harlan's a
locations.
great guy.
Oh, Harlan's amazing. Yeah, here's another cool shot. I don't know if you can see this one. I have to move the light around. That's another cool one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's rad.
Nice. Sand ghosts.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely I've definitely got my wall of shame, and it's been fun. And again, I couldn't have done anything of that without my sponsors. And like I said, I've some sponsors like Torco. They've been with me for 20 since my jet ski racing days. 20 years. So yeah,
Wow.
Torco and their
Yeah.
oils, specialty racing oil. They're not a huge company like Castrol or some of the bigger ones, but I've had races where I've got a hole in the radiator and I'm seeing 300 degrees on my engine, and I'm running synthetic Torco oil, and I just basically put a new radiator and put water in this thing, still running fine, no problem. To where other times it might have melted down, and I run the Torco oil in my Jeep, in my pickup truck, in my generator, in my motorhome.
Nice.
Yeah, so they make and same thing with like with GBC, great sponsor. Again, I got the trailer tires, on my truck, on my side by side, on my Jeep. They make amazing products, and I like supporting the people that support the racers. So if anybody out there listening and you want looking for tires for your truck or your side by side, your ATV or your trailer, look up Greenball or GBC, and they'll make a tire for pretty much anything out there, and I rely on them. And same thing with Raceline. I've known Richard Mendenhall from way back in the day.
Yep.
of Mitchell Wheels.
Rich is a rad dude.
Yeah. So a lot, doing this for so many years, just meeting the great people in the industry, and still being able to be a part of it. And it's the off-road racing. It's it's like a family.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Speaking of Greenball, that's what I run, although I'm not sponsored. That's what I run on my trailer. And I put 60,000 miles on those tires last year, just under. Man, and I'm not running the super top of the line. I'm running the second down, the next one down. But BC Vaught, look him up on Instagram at Rotation Management. Rotation.
Yeah, BC just I think I've been with GBC for about 10 years now. I think I've been running cars. And what I love about them is they have so many different. It's almost hard. They have so many different tires that
Yeah.
you have too many choices sometimes.
Right.
And I've done testing with them, and good feedback, bad feedback, and it can take something great and you can groove it, make it even better. And that's back from me going back to my Mickey Thompson days of grooving tires
Sure.
to create. And even when I was I did Supermoto, and the state line, I think I won state line Supermoto championship 6 years, and then in '06 I went to Nashville and I won the AMA Supermoto championship. So I'm actually
Wow.
and an AMA Supermoto. And then I would actually take a Hoosier slick tire and barely groove it. So a lot of people understand for Supermoto, and I think the reason I was good at it was from my go-kart racing days, so racing shifter carts.
Yep.
So I would look at it to where the dirt is only a small part of the race. I'm setting everything up for the pavement. So I manage through the dirt. If I lose 10% in the dirt, but that's only 20 seconds versus 10% on the pavement, that's a minute and a half.
Right.
So
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yep. That's
I managed through the dirt and usually not lose too much time, but then on the pavement, I was so much faster than everybody else. And especially being, 6'3", 250 pounds, racing against guys that are, 5'10" or 5'8" and weighing 140 pounds. So the horsepower to weight ratio, but I was always being a smooth rider. And I look at any type of go-kart racing or any type of street racing, unless you're drifting, as soon as you break traction, you're losing time. You're not going forward.
Yep.
So
Smooth is fast.
my Supermoto skills, I've always been hooked up and just driving smooth. And I'm already clicking gears while other people are sliding sideways, thinking TT style, to where they back it in and just burn the tires loose. And that's where I think for me, a lot of times where I could just drive around people. And I think my whole career from being even on dirt bikes, being a big guy, I had to be smooth. And because if I rode out of control, then I was going to crash, and big guys go down when they go down hard,
Big trees fall hard.
See, Nick, I'm so glad you brought this up, because that was my one question I want to get in tonight, because not a lot of people know, sadly, that quad Supermoto even existed. And I think that's probably, to me, the scariest thing you've ever done, is Supermoto on a quad.
No, I loved it. I loved it. I mean, to me, doing 98 miles an hour in the desert and hitting a G out that didn't have a danger marker on it, trust me, that'll give you the pucker factor. Or doing the Pace Series Supercross, or even like that picture back there, the Vance Triple Crown Freestyle Motocross. I'm going out and I'm hitting FMX jumps on a quad that they're hitting on dirt bikes. That was some sketchy stuff. Yeah, I did. I think this picture was taken in San Diego, the ice arena. What's that called again? I don't remember.
Oh man, it's been a minute.
It's a smaller arena close to SeaWorld. That's where that one picture was taken. And then we did the Duck Pond and also at the Cow Palace. And yeah, you come around a corner, you're hitting this thing, and you got to make it 80 feet, and you got to try to throw a trick in the middle of it. That was back in the day. I believe it was me, Corey Ellis, Jimmy Elsa, Harold Goodman, Sean Sermini, and we'd drive around and we would do all these. We would do the freestyle jumps, and yeah, I don't know what we were thinking. We were just, we were just really dumb back then,
Well, I was going to say, when we were talking about GBC and Greenball, we were talking about BC. He's no slouch behind the wheel, but Corey Ellis is no slouch behind a set of handlebars either, man. So he knows.
Oh yeah, Corey and I used to battle it out on the Mickey Thompson series. Corey and I used to battle it out all the time, and BC. I mean, he actually used to race cars. Years ago, BC got me hooked up with the American. He used to be an instructor at the American Racing Academy, and he got me hooked up. And I did a thing with Dirt Wheels. We did a feature magazine article about comparing quads and racing cars. So I did like a 2-day course with the Formula USA, Formula 2000 little race cars out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
Yeah. So no, it's like I said, the industry, the people are in it. It's great. And few months ago, I was down and they did that the '80s reunion.
Oh
That was
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. I saw you there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. I was kind of towards the later part of the '80s because 88, 89, 90 is kind of when I was getting into it. So I think the next one's gonna be a '90s part, which I definitely had a lot more heyday was my '90s as far as racing the ATVs and the quads.
yeah. That was a good deal, for sure. And that was the deal Wes Miller put together, right?
I think it was actually started that was Corey Witherell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Corey started that. He was racing because Corey used to race the Mickey Thompson races on the quad, and then he kind of got into the super lights, and then he went on the Indy cars. He actually raced the Indy 500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's
no, Corey's
cool.
a great guy. We saw him there. So him and then between him and Rick Rupert, they kind of put the whole thing together, and
Wow.
that's kind of how to. Yeah, I came down and yeah, that was a great event. First a lot of people know about it. So unfortunately they could have had a lot more people maybe if it would have been advertised a little bit more.
Yeah.
And but I think if they do another one maybe of the '90s, then yeah, it'll probably it'll be a huge event.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. So, um, we need to wrap up because we're running up on time, but we've got so much more to cover. We're definitely gonna have to get another episode.
Yep.
One comment I wanted to make when you were talking about the racing back in Sweden. Um, your mom raced real Mini Coopers, which I am highly fond of. I do not own one, but I have crew chiefed an autocross one for a couple of years.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so up in Canada when I lived there. Um, but two, you were talking about Volvos, and Cole's a Volvo guy. I was raised a Volvo guy, and I actually had a 68 142 that I ice rallied in the Yukon Territory in Canada when I
Awesome.
lived up there. So, um, hi, I'm a big time Volvo guy, and
Yeah.
I belong to the Volvo Save My Life Club, and
Oh, that's
that's a whole nother story. But yeah, definitely did. I got ran over by a truck um, while I was in a Volvo. Anyways, um,
well. Real quick, my mom used to have a two-stroke Saab.
Oh,
oh
sweet.
yeah, Saab 99.
Yeah, and you could actually go to the gas stations, and there would be a thing you could dial in your two-stroke premix to pump your car at the gas stations.
Wow. My uncle had one of those up in Alaska back in the must have been mid 70s. And he had one in Fairbanks, Alaska for a while. I remember just being totally, he got rid of it and got an Opel GT.
Yeah, the Opals. Yeah,
But anyways, yeah, we'll have to save a bunch for the next episode with Mr. Nic Granlund, racer extraordinaire. Nick, what do you got for a parting comment? And don't forget to thank all your sponsors and shout
well,
outs.
well. First of all, I guess I like to thank my mom and my dad for kind of or not thank them for getting me into this and get the blood of and actually I'll see my dad in about a week, so
Oh, sweet.
I'm taking my son to Sweden to visit some family, so I'm really excited about it. My son's 17 years old and he's never been there, so I'm taking him to Sweden next week, so that's really exciting. As far as sponsors, anybody that supported me throughout the years, and currently my main sponsors is Raceline, GBC, Torco Oils. Those are like my main guys. Then I have a lot of small people that still support me, and it's great to knowing that I have the relationship with people that now that if I need something, I can call them up and they'll help me out. It's not a contract. I have to do this. I have to do that. So
Yep.
just anybody that helps me out. If Nic Granlund, NICGRANLUND on Instagram. That's where I do most of my racing posts. If you want to go on there, maybe you guys can put a link in there or something like that, and you can follow me. I'll tag sponsors and people that help me out. But the people that are really supporting Green Ball Tires again on my truck, on my trailer, on my Jeep, on my side by side, on my quads, raceline wheels on my truck, on my Jeep, on my side by side. Torque Oil, 20 years. They make diesel oil. They make, any type of lubricants you want, from assembly grease to engine oil, transmission oil, differential oils. They make a great synthetic diesel oil. And just like I said, I like to support the people that support me and people that support the sport. So I see supporting the sport, even if I got to pay for something sometimes, I will make a choice of someone I can see supporting other people, which is the reason people sponsor people. That's why some because they want to get, it's a business. They're out there to make money. And a lot of times, unless you got a rich uncle, any type of sponsor, obviously, I see Kicker, they're in a company. They sponsor a lot of people, and then people buy it to put in their vehicles or the boats or things like that. So just, I mean, I believe the world, runs on sponsors, and a lot of people, if I wouldn't be here, where I wouldn't have all those trophies if it weren't for great sponsors. I mean, a lot of European stuff, Alan knows from CT Racing, he put those deals together. And it's thinking back, it's kind of humbling of people putting their faith in me, of me performing, even with Randy, of having me co-drive, with the Japanese guy, because Randy trusts me, and he knew that I would bring us to the finish and I would be level-headed enough. So I'm just humbled by all the support from all the years of people putting their trust in me to perform on races or promote their product and things like that, which without any of that, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. So thank you to all my sponsors and anybody support me, pit crews, friends that come out, friends that come to the races, friends that take their time off, you guys for coming up and, pitting first in Vegas, Reno, Cole, back in the day, when you worked with the sand tires and stuff, I mean, just anybody and building relationship. That's what I can say for younger kids. Build relationships, because that's what will carry you through. Don't expect, and just nowadays, everybody's like, well, I did this, so you owe me this, and it's not that. You got to work for it. And it takes years to build relationships. And once you do that, a lot of times I have friends for life. I'll talk to Richard from Raceline back in the day, talking about funny stories in Paris, when we were racing in France, and just the friends you make throughout the community, and where it's a great, the off-road community. It's a great community. And thank you so much for giving me this platform to talk and kind of talk about my life a little bit and kind of explain where I'm coming from. And hopefully we get to do it again. We can talk about monster trucks or jet skis or GoPeds or whatever next time.
Yeah, that sounds great to me, man. Thank you so much for taking up your evening and jumping on here. And you're absolutely right. It's relationship building. And, I've followed you for years, being a quad fan. It's really an honor to have you on here. And it was super cool to be able to be a part of your team and help support you guys. And really, to me, I mean, the party bonus is we won that race with your car, but to me, the stoke was just being involved, because I don't really race anymore. And that was my opportunity, to get my hands back in hands-on and be able to, figure out some pit strategy. And I think, things like knowing, okay, well, Rover's going to get them at, I think it was 7. And by the time they get to 8, coming up through the canyon and the rocks and all that, they're both going to take, probably 6 or 7 gallons of fuel.
No, definitely. And like I said, we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys supporting us. So again, I mean, I think the Romos, between the 4 cars we had, there's 42 people or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Of that, and any pit crews out there or any race teams, it's just amazing. No matter if you're on a $2 million trophy truck or a $3,000 dirt bike, it still takes, basically it takes a village, or, it takes a team, because I've got friends that, they race quads. They did Ironman, and these guys are crazy. I've done a few races at Ironman because Greg was hurt or I was hurt, and it's rough, but you still have to have your team support. Even if you're the only driver, you still have to have your team support. So within the industry, again, parting words is just, I'm humbled from all the support for all these years, all these people putting in their trust in me, and companies spending their money because they believe in me to give them a return of their investment is basically what it is. And again, thank you so much for everybody. And I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again soon. And I'm sure we'll have a good time.
For sure. Very well said. Cole, what do you got?
Nick, just keep it up and get ready for my list of questions next time you're on, because you will be back.
All right. Sounds good, guys. All right. Thanks so much. Great night.
Thank you, Nick.
See you, Nick.
All right. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe our first international guest, the world famous Nic Granlund.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you say? 20 countries he's raced or done monster trucks or something.
Worked in the motorsports industry in
crazy. Absolutely crazy. How much fun was that?
That was fun. And he fits right in with all the other guests that we've had, because now we just have more questions than we had before.
Right. That's exactly it. That is exactly it, man. That was awesome. We want to be sure and thank our incredible partners, starting with the Premix podcast, our man Cole. Dude, we would be nowhere without you. Thank you so much for being the brains behind this, so I can just be the dumb ape on the mic. Appreciate that greatly. You can find him on Instagram sharing his passion for desert racing, all things desert, through the lens of a camera at the Premix podcast. That's the @ symbol, ThePremixPodcast. And also, for those of you who don't know but are in absolutely dreamy love with Cole's voice, you can hire him to MC or announce your motorsports, off-road, or any event other than weddings.
Just don't expect a Wes Kane or Lewis Alston. Other than that, I'm right underneath.
He does a great job. Don't let him undersell himself. And of course, Bomber Eyewear. Find him at bombereyewear.com. Safety glasses, floating glasses, the Levi's of sunglasses, if you will. Everyone should have 10 pair. Get them in all different colors, all different styles, different safety lenses. Check them out, bombereyewear.com, or on Instagram at bombereyewear. Of course, Kicker Performance Audio, living loud every day, thanks to Kicker Performance Audio, for all your 12-volt needs: truck, car, boat, sandrail, quad, boat, whatever you got, even personal audio, headphones, Bluetooth earbuds. Hit them up, kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio. Of course, Kelsey Morrell Film, getting all our videos cut, prepped, and up to YouTube. Find her on Instagram, send her a message if you need video production help, if you need video production done or video shot. Hit her up on Instagram at Kelsey Morrell Film. And coming up with some of our new templates that we're using for Instagram production pictures at Hey Keeks, KEEKS Marketing. Hit her up if you need a website built, anything from a website built to you need to find the right social media influencer to represent your brand. Hit her up on Instagram at Hey Keeks Marketing. Cole, what do you got? Final statement.
Final statement is Nick has raced a lot of things.
Indeed, man, the history. I can't wait to get on with him again here down the road. We've got some great guests scheduled to come up. Thank you for listening to episode 48. Hard to believe it's been over a year,
Oof.
right? Thank you. Special shout out to the Podfather, the great Jim Beaver. Thank you again today. I needed some help with something. And I mean, the man's a podcast and radio superstar. I sent him a text, 10 minutes. I had an answer.
And he has his own beer line right now.
Oh, yeah. And he has his own beer. Special shout out, Belching Beaver Misadventures, dedicated to Jim Beaver. Look it up on Instagram at Jim Beaver 15. With that, grab yourself a misadventure from Belching Beaver and Jim Beaver. Kick back. Have a great night. Mad Dog out.